Adam, welcome back. This is the
Thank
second time on. This is the 11th episode. You are on in number 2. Since we last spoke, I think you have grown about 5,000 in followers.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What's the secret?
That's a very good question. For one, it's great to be here again. I would say it's consistency. The biggest thing I've learned kind of posting more, well, I'll kind of take you back a bit to kind of give you a bit more understanding why I started doing it. There was a post I did in Dubai, which is quite like an aesthetic shot. And for some reason that just blew up. And I thought, well, if I just start doing this, just posting every day, whether it's, a reel, a photo, maybe I'll start kind of gaining a bit of momentum with it. So ever since then, I've just been very consistent with it and it's just started to pay off.
Sorry, you said it was an aesthetic photo.
Yeah.
People have I find that a lot of people want to start getting into content creation and they fear, what will people think if I start taking photos in public? Are people looking at me? Do I look weird and all this sort of thing?
Yeah.
Did you find you had to overcome that a little bit?
Yeah, you really have to stop thinking what people care when you post. Like, you can't think, oh, I've posted, so much, what are people going to think? You've just got to just start doing it. You've just really got to be consistent and think, even if this isn't perfect, I'm gonna post it because then I can just get something up, right? And I think if I reflect back before I started posting, I would always kind of nitpick, oh, this isn't perfect, or maybe it should be like this or that. And now my focus towards posting is so different. It's focused more on, I've got to get something out today, what looks pretty good, and I can, kind of aligns with my Instagram, because I tend to do more like aesthetic kind of posts, work, business, those kind of things. Just kept doing it.
Do you follow a schedule?
No. Well, the schedule for me is every day, and I probably do about 3 posts, like photos, and then like a reel. But it's just about just doing it every day, because you think, right? Again, to feed into why I started doing it, I started seeing so many reels of people that just say they post 3 times a day. You need to just post, because the more times you post, the more chances you have of growing that account. So if you don't post, obviously that starts getting limited, right? So what have you got to lose?
I spoke with your business partner Jay yesterday, and we spoke about opportunities and in particular repetition.
Yes.
The theme is opportunities aren't rare, repetition is.
Yeah.
And these opportunities exist, and when you start putting in the effort and amping up the amount that you're putting into it, those opportunities just seem to come flooding at you.
Yeah.
Where do you aim to take your social media?
Great question. I don't really know, but I see possibility with it, right? And I feel like the way the world works, the way people can earn money, those kind of things, we're just in a completely different life compared to 10 years ago. There's people making like tens, hundreds of thousands a month just by posting, working with brands, doing these kind of deals. And I think it's about, I kind of associated myself with some people that started doing that. They started telling me, they do this, they do that. I'm like, well, I should just do it, right? And it's just about being consistent. And again, not even just on the social kind of media posting. If you look at your life, right? If you go to the gym every single day, what's going to happen? Your body's going to get better. If you work every day, what's going to happen? You're probably going to do something that's going to benefit, whether that's financially, going towards the goals you're trying to build, and then again, posting on social media. So looking at life as well, it's just about being consistent.
Do you find like your mindset so far, we spoke about this in the first podcast we did, but it applies in the exact same way to social media. The discipline, the consistency, the repetitions that you do in your business life is the exact same with social media. Yeah,
exactly. Through every aspect.
Yeah.
And again, I often actually think about that, right? Because if you have a bad day with work, just still do it anyway. Just still do the things you've got to do. You're always going to have good, bad days. Whether that's, again, going to the gym, you do a post, maybe it's not going to get the likes you want, maybe it's not going to get the views you want. You can really put being disciplined and being consistent in every aspect of your life. And if you do those things in every aspect of your life, there is no reason to fail, because you have, in theory, maximized all of the things you could have done to get to where you are. Of course, there's caveats to that. don't just sit in front of a desk for 8 hours and then expect, or 10 or 12, whatever it is, and expect because you're sat there, it's going to work. You do have to make sure you're being productive with that time as well, right? How much deep focused work am I doing? How much effort am I putting into that, that post there? Again, you can feed it into different things, but I think the main thing is being disciplined and focused and consistent in every point. Discipline
is doing something you don't want to do, but knowing it's what you should be doing. I guess you could say that. And it's, as Jocko Willink would say, discipline eats motivation for breakfast.
Yeah.
It's the bit that, if you can imagine a rocket ship, it has the bits on the side that get it going out of the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I guess you could see that as the motivation, and then the motivation fades off.
Yeah.
And that rocket's got to keep going without those original jets that it had attached to it. That's kind of like discipline. What would you say you've had to discipline yourself the most at?
That's a good question. I'll be honest, that's actually very hard for me to kind of answer. And I'll tell you why. For such a long period of my life, I've just done the things I don't want to do. And you kind of get used to not liking it, but you start kind of just wanting to do more of that because you understand the benefits. So I don't know what the kind of point, I can't really put a point in my life of like where I did something, I'm like, I need to keep doing this. But there are factors that kind of feed into it. So for example, I get up early every day. I know after I train in the gym, I'm going to feel better after. So you kind of look at the end points of the discipline actions you take, if that kind of makes sense, right? You do a cold shower, you're going to feel great after, but it's going to be shit when you go in. So it's like, if I put in all this work now, well, the end goal is going to be amazing. And I know, looking at every other point in my life, that it's going to be good at the end. So I think it's just having that mindset of the things you do that are discipline. There is an end point that's quite nice.
And they all compound too, right?
They do, yeah.
I think I said this to you before, but one of Seneca, the Stoic philosopher's most famous quotes is, treat the body rigorously so that it may not be disobedient to the mind. And all these practices like the cold shower and getting up early and doing the things that you don't want to do is training that part about you that come the day that you have to do something that you really don't want to do, you are prepared for it. And I think that's probably one of the hardest aspects about life, but the most important, and the part about life that gives it meaning. Sisyphus, the mythological story of Sisyphus, who was damned by Zeus to forever push the boulder up the hill, and every time he got close to the top, it'd roll back down. He'd have to start again. It's extremely symbolic. It represents the kind of way that we have to always keep pushing our own boulders up the hill. And when we feel like we've almost got there, we just have to keep pushing and keep pushing. And I feel like those kind of disciplines that we're speaking about are the kind of things that never have an end point.
No.
You can't really understand it teleologically. But you kind of just got to keep it going. Yeah.
And although I said, like kind of doing those things, again, like cold shower, whatever it is, like there is a nice endpoint. I don't think about that though. So it's really removing that kind of, this is going to feel really good or it's going to work out, but just doing it. And because I think people can then get let down, right? Because you think, right, you put 3 years of your life or 4 years or whatever it is into a business and it doesn't go well. And obviously if you have that thought process of, well, it's going to work anyway, so I'll just do it. It doesn't always happen like that. So I think it's just being disciplined, continuously doing it over and over, and then hopefully eventually something will happen that will be good from it, right? But don't expect it always to kind of work out.
It's a super uncomfortable thought, thinking that like there is no real end point.
No.
And we said this in the last podcast, but like you do have to look for something higher to move towards.
You do.
With the whole social media thing, people expect like immediate results. They think they make one cool reel and it's just going to do it. But no, you may make the super cool reel and it doesn't work out. Or you may post some aesthetic photos and no one cares. No one likes your posts. And with social media, it's quite a personal thing, I think, People it's their representation of themselves. And people take it to heart if their stuff doesn't get liked and that sort of thing. But you kind of have to push through those early stages, the no views, the no likes, the no comments, no shares. How would you advise someone to keep pushing through those doubtful times?
I would say just ignore the noise. Like, it's not always going to work, you know, and it's just about doing it. Just do it, right? What have you got to lose? A post is free. You know, if we're talking about posting, right? It's free, but the end point could be amazing, you know. So it's just ignore the noise, ignore what people think, and even take like inspiration from other people that have blown up and those kind of things, because you see so many people time and time again like blow up, but you know, had to post for like a year, 2-3 years, and nothing happened, but then something happened and that changed their life. So ignore the noise and just keep doing it.
It's the noise is the hardest bit, especially when people around you, you know, are judging you for, oh, you started posting all this cringy content and all this kind of stuff. And I guess you kind of like, over time, you break away from those sorts of people, and you maybe gravitate, as you said, you've been in contact with a few content creators, you said, people who are...
Yeah. So I think one of the big things that inspired me is from being around people that have done it. So whether it's like blow up TikTok accounts and have some sort of brand associated with it, or start doing partnership deals where they have a retainer. Like, there's so many different avenues you can go down when it comes to social media and what you kind of go into. But I think seeing it and seeing the possibilities for me is like, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, what makes them different to me, right? So it's, of course, everyone has their own niche. You know, some people want to go down the fitness influencer kind of route. Some want to go down different routes of social media. But I think, seeing people that have done it and that, just seeing the possibilities does definitely, it made me want to keep going and kind of pushing through, because, I mean, it's just free. Like, if you really think about it, like, doing a post is free, right? Just go and do a reel, do a talking video, just keep doing it.
That is a very true point. Like, the fact that it is free, like, provided you have a phone, okay, you have to pay for a phone. Although you don't even really, you need to have access to social media, which, you know, entails that you need some sort of technology to be able to access it. It's free. If you have a phone, you can take photos and start posting it. How do you find your niche? You know, that people can be drawn to so many different like types of social media. How do you know what's for you?
I think that's a very tough question, because I kind of fell into what I do now.
Do you think it's like a natural process?
I think some of it is, right, and some people, like, I quite like do. I kind of do. I guess I post what goes on in my life, really. So I'm lucky enough to be around kind of cool places, you know, nice buildings. I'm always working at different spots. So what I'm doing now is really working and just taking photos of where I work and having some quite cool photos. I also like content that's similar to mine. So for me, I would want to do the kind of content I do because I think it's quite cool. So I think it really depends what your kind of aim is with it a bit, because obviously there's some where, like, for example, the podcast, you're going to do, you know, podcast clips, those kind of things. But I think you kind of got to have some sort of idea, but just, I mean, you can still post and then see what kind of works. And that's what I've done. Like, the reason I started posting the way I'm posting now is because I saw what works. One of the posts blew up and I'm like, well, people like this, so I'll just keep doing it.
I think also authenticity is a big thing as well.
Yeah.
Like you said, you kind of naturally fell into it, but that's kind of because it's your lifestyle anyway. And in the world we live in today, so many people crave authenticity, I think. Like, you don't know what's, especially with the uprise of AI, you don't know what's real, you don't know who's faking their life and all this sort of thing, which, I mean, that's a big problem with social media today anyway. Like, people will, what was the example I heard recently? Like, someone dressed up, put on, this is in the States, put on an NFL like shirt and was like off to the game tonight, and then took the photo and then took the stuff off, went to bed, and they didn't even go to the game because it's this fake it culture.
It is, it's huge.
And you know, people do crave the authentic accounts, and it's almost like it's almost inspirational, I think. Like when I think about all the accounts that I see and the content that I like, I do like the authentic accounts, the authentic content, because it is quite inspiring to just be yourself, you know?
Yeah, it is. And I think you cannot look at social media and compare yourself to people on social media. That is the last thing you'd want to do. I see so many accounts that, you know, put Lamborghinis, Ferraris, you know, fair enough, you rented it, you know, that's still quite expensive. But it's, people do go down, I think, the wrong rabbit hole with the social media, with trying to show something or show someone they're not. And I think, one, it's very easy to tell, but also like that will make you internally quite miserable, because you're continuously trying to show people you're a certain character to impress other people, not yourself. And like, for me, of course, I think overall with social media, you are posting because you want other people to like it. So there is some parts of that you do want other people to like it and you want people to be impressed or whatever. But if your sole goal is to flex and try and show yourself as someone you're not, I don't think it will work. Like, and also you will just be so unhappy because you won't feel like you can do a post because it's not next to a Lamborghini or you know.
And that's definitely a big problem. Like, there is this like hustle culture narcissism, I would say. Like, people like looking like they're part of this hustle culture, and you know, we see the uprise of things like imposter syndrome and stuff. People feel like they're not the person that people think they are. And that's quite confidence depleting as well. I think deep down you're not satisfied with yourself. Because you can't live up to others' expectations. And there's the only thing that creates disappointment is expectations. People have high expectations of you. They'll forever be, you know, disappointed with you. And no one speaks about the negative sides of their life too. You know, maybe people think that they don't want people to hear that, or people don't want to hear that. Everyone sees everyone's life on social media as perfect. And people are led to feel really alone with the things that they're struggling with. There are definitely social media accounts out there that speak about, I don't know, I'll give an example, but someone may feel like they're the only person they see with an alcohol problem. There's definitely an account out there that speaks about alcohol problems, and I think these kind of accounts are great. And like I was saying, that authentic side to it, the openness, people do crave that, makes people feel less alone. Don't you think it's mad how something that was supposed to interconnect us has made us more divided? Yeah,
and it's definitely, people post on Instagram and show the perfect part of their life. And I think the thing that I try and do that, you know, because some of the photos I post are quite glamorous a lot of the time and are in nice places, these kind of things. But I do a lot of talking videos and a lot of other things. And like, I do want people to see me as me, and as, like, again, going back to that point, like with discipline and consistency, I'm that guy that talks the shit and does it. Like, I get up early.
Talk, walks the walk.
100%. And you ask any of my close friends around me, everything I speak about, I do. I don't just film a reel then go back to bed. Like, talking about action and do this, do that. I will do it. And I think that's why I do enjoy posting things like that, because I do like to be inspirational. I like to show people there's so much more they can do in life. Whatever life someone lives can change drastically. It's just dependent on what you do. And I do like people to know that, because I feel like, especially if you're in a circle that is, you don't have exposure to certain things. The kind of crowds I expose myself to are, do tend to be quite wealthy crowds. I like to be around people that are doing better than me. I like to be around people that are building businesses. For me, that's inspirational. That makes me want to be a better person. And I like to be around that. So I put myself in positions to be around people like that. And if you don't have that, it is incredibly tough, because you don't have that exposure. I think if you can kind of get out of your crowd and try and network with people, and again, Nouva Group, so, trying to, connect people, it can take you a long way, because you can see it's possible, but a lot of people can't see it. So you just got to have a bit of exposure therapy, I guess you could say.
I spoke to Jay about like what problem is Nouva Group trying to solve? And he answered it, but I think you're kind of touching on the similar sort of problem that we described in the podcast. Is people crave this. People crave to be around people who they aspire to be.
Yeah.
They want to learn from people who inspire them. And it's hard. It's hard when you see on social media people with all the end results, and you don't see the up and coming and the hard grind. I mean, I'm sure if you scroll far enough back on their accounts, you'll see all it took. But I think that does create this craving to be around people who have done it and to learn from them. And that's. Do you see that sort of thing with the people who are members at Nouva?
Yeah, 100%. And again, that's like one of the biggest reasons we built Nouva Group. We did feel like there was a huge gap with professionals and entrepreneurs connecting and networking. I've been to so many corporate events in my life. No one actually wants to be there. No one really wants to listen to a presentation. You're representing a company, not yourself. And creating an environment where you can, it's a much more relaxed environment. You're not being pushed into some presentation which you don't really care about. It's an environment where you can just be your authentic self and connect with other people, see where that leads. I always, when I speak to kind of new members coming on board, they like that there's no pressure for them to, because some people join and they're like quite successful already, and they don't want to come and talk about business. And that's actually some of the biggest feedback we've had is they can connect with people on more of a genuine level rather than just straight into business or, here's my business card or all this. Yeah, that's it does happen because, we do want people to benefit from it. But like, there's a lot of other benefits, personally, lifestyle, like, you could start meeting with people that have built businesses which you're interested in, and what are they doing differently to me? Well, their lifestyle's this, and so there's like so many different aspects to it. But like the biggest part just being, I still think there is, and that's why we're trying to keep pushing on building Nouva Group. But there is a big problem with people socially interacting, and especially people of a younger age demographic that are trying to build things, trying to be successful in their career, whatever it is.
I suppose, like we said about the social media and the networking sort of thing, like people really struggle to talk in person. We're, particularly our generation, but we're so used to reading letters on a screen. There's so much more to conversation right now. Like we're speaking, there's eye contact, there's body language, there's tonality, there's speed, velocity of your speech and that sort of thing. And being exposed to those environments where you are actually talking to people. But I think there's also more than that. I think those are the physical things, but I think there's like a genuine connection when you're speaking to someone. And that just doesn't happen through a screen. You receive a text, you read it, you think, I'll respond in 15 minutes. You can't say something to me right now. I think,
give me 5 minutes.
5 minutes. I mean, it'd be quite boring for the viewer, but these are the problems that we are kind of giving ourselves by being so hooked. And not to put too much shade on it, it does have its benefits. There are some aspects of the world that are way more connected now because of things like social media. Like you can have a family on the other side of the world and you can know what they're doing and communicate with them, and these things are great for that reason. But in our immediate local circles, it's just absolutely, would you say, deteriorated our social connection? And I think that's why, especially with like AI and like things becoming so easily accessible, you don't really, if you don't want to, you don't actually need to like leave and speak to anyone. You can order food to your place, you can, you can text someone, and it's so important to get out there, go and, talk. You could even feed it back to dating, right? And that's a huge issue because people instantly judge people on a photo. How can you judge someone on a photo? Like, there's so much more to a person. And I do think, of course, technology, again, it's great. It's, it's amazing. Life's completely changed because of it. But there are so many other parts in life that you're not really taught. And I think that's one of the biggest issues with school is you don't learn people skills. You don't. There's not actually a single course just
out there.
Academic skills.
Yes, purely academic. And it's such a superpower because if you can speak to people, maintain good eye contact, have good posture, like it goes a very long way. And that's why for me, I like to be well dressed wherever I go. I do tend to be quite formal majority places, and it's because when you look at someone, whether you say it or not, you do judge someone, a little bit when you look at them, how they hold themselves, what are they wearing.
I think it's like the first 7 seconds you build your perception of who they are and create your view of them and how they are as a person in the first 7 seconds.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy, and you kind of put that into perspective, right? This, like, people skills are so important, and it's just something that people don't really learn. And I think, like, if you're a really good people person, you can get yourself very far in life.
Yeah, it's true, and this ties into the whole Nouva networking thing, but it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've realised this especially with like the social media stuff. I've definitely realised it with, the podcast thing. I feel like I'm intellectual, but I don't know enough. And who you know, affects what you know.
Yeah.
Who you know is the most important part. I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot from many other guests who I've had on my show. And it opens up so many doors. Like, these people know things that you don't.
Yeah.
And if you go into a conversation with them assuming that they know something that you don't, you can really take a lot from those people,
Yeah, I completely agree. You learn so much from speaking to someone. And also, I mean, I'm not, very academic at all. I was really bad at school. I left at 16. So my academic side is it's not great. But you learn things differently when you go into the world. Like how, I know how to build a business. So, but you learn things that, I wouldn't say like you want to learn, but you kind of start learning when, you're in that kind of the actual world, right? And it can just take you so far with like the personal skills. I think academically, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room to achieve greatness. You really don't. But what goes far is being able to speak to the smart people if you need to, right, as well. So, it's an interesting one.
I think how you hold yourself, like going back to that point you made, is so important. I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
Have you ever read 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson?
I haven't, no.
It's a really good book. I think it's the first chapter. It's Rule 1.
Yeah.
Stand up straight with your shoulders back. And what the chapter is basically about is he talks about lobsters and lobsters in social situations, because we are actually descendants of lobsters. They're one of the longest surviving old species on the planet, something like
Never knew that.
hundreds of millions of years.
Yeah.
And I'll explain it to you here. The core idea: lobsters have existed for hundreds and millions of years. They live in dominance hierarchies. When lobsters win fights, their serotonin level increases, their posture becomes more confident, and they're more likely to win again. When lobsters lose, serotonin drops. They become timid and withdrawn, and they're more likely to lose again. This creates a feedback loop. Wins, confidence, more wins. Loses, withdrawal, more losses. Peterson's point is this pattern predates humans. And what this means for humans is we respond also to success and failure biologically.
Yeah.
Change posture, mood, and confidence based on outcomes, and we get trapped in upward or downward spirals. Peterson argues that hierarchies aren't purely social constructs. They're partly rooted in biology and evolution, and they can't just abolish them without consequences. In the Bible, I think there's this like principle of this: for those who have not, more shall be taken, and for those that have, more shall be given. It's kind of this either spiral up or spiral down aspect about life.
Yeah.
If you're not moving upward, you're moving downwards.
Yeah.
And once you start moving upwards, I guess we can link this to your business life, your social media, your social media account, how you've you had 10,000 followers 2 months ago. It's quite an amount, but within the last 2 months, you've just gone bang. And it's gone from nothing to overnight success.
Yeah.
Do you think about this a lot when it comes to making yourself do things like one day it's going to come through? You know, just keep going.
Yeah.
And I suppose tying it into what we were saying about how you hold yourself is kind of this fake it till you make it aspect of it. If you're not quite the person that you want to be, act like the person you want to be.
Yeah.
You don't get what you want, you get what you are.
Yeah, and I entirely agree with that. If you do want to be, like I often think about if I'm in, situations where maybe I'm anxious or like it's something I really don't want to do, what would the man you want to be do, right? So I often think about that, and you just have to do it. And there is, a kind of an avenue of fake it till you make it, because, to some degree you do, right? You've got to show yourself in a certain way that maybe isn't you, because of maybe you're just not in that position yet. But yeah, you definitely do have to do that.
What is the man you want to be?
Man, that's a really good one. I would say I want to be, and I guess that's kind of flipping it, saying I want to be the best version of myself, but I want to be the person that can deal with any sort of situation and kind of tolerate those and be a provider. And of course I do want, this amazing life, which I completely believe I will do that. But there's so many other aspects that come to it, just being a good person, what makes good?
What does it mean to be a good man?
What means I think it kind of loops back to that. Being able to deal with situations where they're incredibly stressful, incredibly tiresome, and dealing with it. Not running from it, like just looking at it. If you're feeling awful, just keep, get up, just keep doing it.
It's quite stoic.
Yeah, it is.
I think being a good man is, I think stoicism is a wonderful philosophy.
Yeah,
I think it's so misunderstood, unfortunately, because there are critiques of it of people who have gone so deep into it that they feel nothing. And I think the true stoicism is being able to do what you are supposed to do despite how you feel.
Yes.
If you're having a crappy day, they're going to come.
Yeah.
You still do exactly what you are supposed to do.
Yeah.
You still act the exact way. But for the Stoics, it's all about virtue.
Yeah.
The better life comes from aligning with virtue for the Stoics.
Yeah.
Anything external is indifferent, It's nice to have what they call preferred indifference. Mm-hmm. So these things are money, food, a house. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is a preferred indifferent. But the reason they say this is because those things help you act more virtuously. Mm-hmm. Do you think that you could definitely tie in stoicism in being a good man?
Yeah, 100%. Majority of my life is very stoic. But you do have, I do generally believe you do have to be a bit careful with how stoic you go, because you can become extremely cold. One of the biggest things with building a business and dealing with so much stress and pressure is because you deal with that over and over again, you do become quite cold to it. You become quite numb. So you do sometimes need to, take a step back sometimes to kind of just allow yourself to feel a bit more. I'm very much, right, there's a problem, how can we fix it straight away? Right, let's deal with it, let's move forward. Continuously over and over could be a really bad situation, and when you continuously have problems and you're just fighting, I don't think, it does get tiring, but you can move past that. But sometimes, yeah, you do think, shit, I have become quite cold here. And that does, feed into a lot of different angles of your life, right? When it might be relationships, it might be conversations, it might be how you start speaking to people in quite a straight kind of tone. Because when I speak to people, I'm very, I wouldn't say I just could say brutally honest. If there's an issue, I would tell someone there's an issue, which of course is a good thing, but sometimes it can come across as quite bland or a bit blunt. So I do think there is a little bit of a line of be careful how far you go, but 100% be stoic, because it allows you to have great principles for life.
Like you touched on, being a good man is, to protect and provide. And I think, like you said, too much stoicism can make you very cold.
Yeah.
But I think that's just the toxic side of it, where it's just been taken a little bit too far.
Yeah.
And it's misunderstood. There's a part in the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius where he writes, when you kiss your child tonight, remind yourself that they may not live tomorrow. Yes. It's quite dark and it's quite cold, quite a cold thought. But there's a bit that people miss. He's kissing his child goodnight. And no matter how much you train yourself to deal with the crappiness and the suffering and the pain of life, you still need to be emotional. You still need to be able to love, and you need to be able to provide emotional support. Especially, I think women are fantastic creatures, and we are very, very blessed to get to share time with them. But they're very emotional, and that's their best and their worst friend, right? That's what allows them to bond with children and stuff. And sometimes I think the toxic stoic man just ignores it.
Yeah.
And doesn't let it affect his emotions. But I think the true stoic man interprets it. And to phrase Marcus Aurelius again, he says, be like the rock that stands with the chaotic waves crashing around it.
Yeah.
Remain unmoved. But I think you kind of got to be there for people in that aspect, you know?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like, I've got people around me that I know if I have a shit day, I can just speak to them, you know, and just let it all out, right? But then you've got people that, you know, you probably wouldn't do that. So I think it's very important to have at least someone that you can just, like, kind of just get out your system, right? I'm having a shit day, just need to have a talk, you know, kind of let yourself out a bit, you know, and feel it, because a lot of people don't.
I think being a good person to talk to definitely ties into, like, what is a good man. I think if people feel like they can talk to you, like they say a good marker for a good friend is someone who is genuinely happy for you when things go well for you, and is genuinely upset for you when things go badly for you. I think it's a good marker for a good friend. But I think if a man is that, you know, and he doesn't look down on other people for their mishaps and their mistakes, and it makes him very approachable. And I think that's a good man, good way to be. And it's definitely the stoic ideal, you know. They have this, like, concept of, it's very easy to get annoyed at people for doing the wrong thing. But to them, the person who has done the wrong thing didn't do so willfully. They are just unwillingly deprived of the truth.
Yeah.
And if they had completely understood the truth of situations and how the universe works, and the truth of virtue and the differentiation between that and vice, they maybe wouldn't have made the same choice. And it makes people who do bad things more tolerable, I think.
Yeah.
And you have more patience with people.
You do.
And when someone does bad things to you, you may just think, water off a duck's back. They did it because they didn't really think it through. Or would you say that that's another aspect of being a good man? Yeah.
So I know people that if something happened in their life would just completely flip out, like completely. And Jay and I speak about this quite a lot, actually, with if there's something we don't like, we think about it, like we really think about it. And there's times you just want to respond and just let it all out, whatever it is, right? Saying having an argument, well, not if you're having an argument, but if someone says something you don't like, you can respond and be, you know, you can just let it all out and you know, start being rude and all these kind of things. The way I look at it now is if there's something I don't like really don't like, I would just like really think about it and not act in the moment. Or I like to say act when you've got all of the emotion, you know, act in the emotion basically. So I think it's very important to kind of carry that throughout life, because a lot of people don't think before they talk or they act on emotion. And, you know, I've seen it time and time again where people ruin things because they haven't thoroughly thought out what they're about to say and what the impact of what they're about to say is. And I think it's something that is, you know, incredibly important to work on, how you deal with things you really don't like. And especially in like if you're arguing with someone or something happens you don't like, you just want to, you know, scream and shout at someone and be rude, those kind of things. But I think one of the biggest superpowers is generally being able to take shit and just kind of sit there with it for a bit, you know.
They say take a 10 seconds to breathe in the moment.
100%. And
emotion can be very intoxicating, and I suppose it's in the word react, right? Yes. Someone's rude to you. If you react that, you're just doing it back to them. And you're just as bad as them. You know, they may have been the instigator, but you've now just lowered yourself to their level by doing exactly what they did to you back to them.
Yeah.
I saw this video of this guy talking about kindness, and he talks about kindness in high value social settings and kindness in low value social settings. And he kind of kindness in low value situations appears weak. It appears like it's just being a pushover and conflict avoidant. Kindness in high value situations appears generous. It appears well-mannered, and a key trait, being able to be kind to people, maybe be kind to people who aren't necessarily good people. And, you know, it's easy when you're around people who think you're just a give over and just being kind to avoid situations.
Yeah.
They try to beat that kindness out of you.
Yeah.
Do you find that you ever have to anchor yourself in that trait of kindness and stop people trying to beat that out of you?
Yeah. The thing with me is because I've kind of, I tell myself to always be, you know, the honest version of myself. If I don't like something, I'll say it. And that builds respect, because you're not just agreeing or saying things because you want to make someone happy, and obviously there's a bit of borderline to that, right? You know, don't just, be careful how far you take that. But there are definitely people that will just want to, you know, take it away from you.
Like you said, there are times where you've got to bite your tongue.
And
you shouldn't say things, and maybe it borders the emotional intoxication. And you want to react. But I think that's correct. I think there's a discipline to not people pleasing. Yes. Everyone wants to be liked. It's innate in our instinct. You wanna fit in social situations. You want people to like you, because for us, thousands of years ago, that was life or death. If you weren't liked by people, you weren't going to eat at the table. So it's very much in us. But like you said, I think that does build you respect points. Where I work, there's a manager, and I wouldn't say I necessarily like him as a person, but I respect him. And there's something in that. Respect is earned. I don't think respect is ever just given.
No, I agree.
People think, oh, you don't respect me. No, it's not that I don't respect you. I'm not disrespecting you. You just haven't earned my respect yet. And to give someone your respect is a big thing. People just expect it off the bat. It's like, I'm just walking down the street, someone should respect me. And there's a certain degree to that, but you've got to be very careful with what you expect from other people, and respect is a big thing to earn. Definitely moves you up the circles. Do you find that in social situations too?
I think you can judge very quickly whether you're going to have respect for someone after it's definitely earned, but the way people can come across, I think you gain respect for them. And I think that can happen quite quickly as well, because of how someone may hold themselves, how someone says certain things.
What do you most respect in someone?
Good question. So the way I look at it, because of my life and I really respect people that are kind of, that want to go and get it, and that are able to kind of say the things they want to say. Obviously, again, borderline the rudeness and just saying things because you're angry, but people that have some sort of calm, an honest, part to them. And I think that gains a lot of respect. And also how people kind of deal with really bad situations. How do people, deal with, again, you could look at that in so many different, parts of your life, whether that's like financial problems, arguments, family issues. How do people deal with these, I think, the negative side in their life? And I think seeing how people deal with those, you do gain a lot of respect for people, because they deal with it in a I would say the best manner they probably could have done. And you gain, if you see someone go through a really bad situation and they handle that situation in a really good way, I think they would 100% gain quite a lot of respect, because they've just gone through something so bad.
I think what we can really draw upon here, and what you're saying is, what gains people the most respect is being able to do difficult things. Dealing with that breakup, dealing with the job loss, dealing with losing a family member. How people deal with those things is what gives you respect. 100%. You're going to feel pain, and you're only human at the end of the day. And, that's where it is important you have good friends around you who
Yeah.
are maybe there to remind you of who you are in those situations. But what does make you a respectable person, and in particular a respectable man, is being able to do difficult things. Touching on Jordan Peterson again, he says, you should be the strongest person at your father's funeral. And I think that gets to the core of so many men, because if you are close with your dad, you love your dad. And there's a problem with dads in the world today, but that's a different topic. But he says, when everything goes downhill, you are the one person that everyone can turn to, and you're the one that's paining the most. The responsibility in that situation. And I think, the saying, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
I think with great responsibility comes great difficulty too.
Yeah.
More power, more difficulty.
Yeah.
Going along in the future and knowing that you're growing in a direction, that sort of thing. What kind of aspects and disciplines and things are you trying to adopt to ensure that you are able to deal with those kind of difficult situations?
Yeah, that's a good one. I would say I try and feel the emotion. Like every time I have a situation, whether it's like a breakup or something you don't like, or a business issue, I try and just move forward. So, and that's really in every aspect of my life. I just try and deal with it. What is this problem? How can I deal with it? How can I kind of keep moving forward just a little bit? That's gonna, have a positive impact. And I think, again, going back to the, the discipline side, right? You kind of build up a bit of a tolerance for dealing with things through doing that, right? So, for me, it's just, there's a problem now, right? You don't really have to look for a solution, but how can I move forward? How can I kind of move in the direction that's going to make me feel better?
Let's say you've been knocked down.
Yeah.
You're dizzy.
Yeah.
You don't know what direction's what.
Yeah.
What way is forward?
That's a good question. Well, it's up. I would say it's going up, because that's the only, doesn't matter where you are, but you know that you could.
You know what's up.
You know what's up.
That's really interesting. And that's quite, I think aiming up, you're so right there. I think there's something about us that knows intrinsically, without having been told it, what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that ties into the difficulty thing too. Being able to do the difficult thing. That's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Necessarily. Are there cases where that is not the right thing to do?
In what way? So, you mean
difficult situation, being able to do the difficult thing.
That's a good question. Oh, I'm trying to think.
Because what you find with most of these things is there's no like fixed understanding of something. It's quite Socratic, because when you really question something, you find that there is no definitive answer. What is up?
What is up? Gosh. Honestly, what's up? I guess it's something that's going to benefit you in some way, right? So, for example, again, looping it back to, I guess you could loop up and forward in kind of the same bracket. And again, going back to like forward, well, what does moving forward actually mean? Well, it's kind of moving in a direction that's going to make you better in some way, or
I suppose forward implies positive, backward implies negative.
Yeah. I mean, what's up? That's an incredibly hard question.
Something better than now.
Yes, exactly. And it's like forcing yourself in a direction that is like the right, because then you're like, well, if there's a shit situation, well, back's running away. And what's running away going to do? But if I move forward, maybe maybe something better will happen. You have, in a situation where everything's going wrong, the only way you will 100% fail is by going back. So if you kind of have that mindset with going forward, going up, well, that's the only chance of you kind of moving through things.
It's by not giving up. I suppose that then we can say that that's the answer.
Yeah.
Up is not giving up.
Yeah. Yes.
I suppose we've reached it.
Yeah. But it's an incredibly tough question because, you can really go down this, loophole.
You could. And then I suppose you could say, a gambler
Yeah.
is giving up the right thing for him to do.
Yeah. I guess you put it in that mindset, right? Well,
But no, I think there's no definitive answer for anything, but I think it's very subjective to your circumstances.
Yeah.
I think when you are in the situation right now, there is a part of you that knows what is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And
100%.
it takes some resistance.
Yeah.
You gotta walk the path of most resistance, and whatever that feels like to you at the moment, very much that's the answer for you, and trying to figure out what is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, I suppose.
I think everyone has that underlying voice.
The conscience.
Yeah, everyone does. Like, they may not admit it, but if there's a situation, someone, someone doesn't want to do a certain thing, you should probably do that. You will have that voice in you saying that. You might try and convince yourself that you shouldn't do it, but everyone knows deep down if there's a thing they should do, they should probably do it.
It's like a little bit of litter falls out your pocket.
Yes.
And then you see it and you're like, I really should pick it up.
Literally, yeah.
And you're just like, oh, but I'm walking anyway.
And I guess you could say, unfortunately, you try and convince yourself why you shouldn't pick up that rubbish. Oh, loads of other people do it. Or, someone else will pick it. So it's like that kind of, it's an interesting topic.
Do you know what? I do want to touch on that topic because it's fascinating. Theologically speaking, people draw those polarizing voices in your head as the God and the devil. No matter what there's so many different examples of it. And there was a really interesting story that I heard about someone who, I think they wrote a bit of the Bible, but they were the first ever person to connect the voice of God and your conscience. And they believe that that voice that you hear, whether it's a part of you or not, that just says, you really should do that.
Yeah.
You really should hit that gym session today.
Yeah,
you really should go for that run. You really should go help that granny cross the road. We all have that.
Yeah.
Imagine where the world would be today if everyone listened to that.
Gosh, I think everyone would have a much better life.
And the contrary is the negative voice, the voice of the devil, so to speak.
Yeah.
The voice that tries to tempt you, that tries to deceive you, that tells you, I'll just lie in bed for 15 more minutes. I'll just drink today. I'll quit tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're doing contrary things.
They do, yeah.
One's calling you to your higher self, and
one's
calling you to your lower self.
Yeah.
I suppose there's this always... I was speaking with someone the other day, and they were telling me about this really interesting dream they had. And I'm not sure they're aware of how meaningful your dreams are. And what they were basically explaining to me is this internal conflict of... the higher versus the lower self.
Yeah.
I think every single person has this.
Yeah, they do.
The self that they could be if they really tried.
Yeah.
And resisted the other side, the lower self.
Yeah.
That's tempted and deceives.
Yeah, I can't remember what the exact phrase was, but it's quite an interesting, I find it, I can't remember what it was. But it's like, imagine, oh God, what was it again? It's like knowing the person you could have been if you did all the things you should have done. And everyone knows the things they should be doing or wish they did, but they just didn't do it. And it's like, we could have been that person.
How do you think someone deals with the regret of that?
Awfully, honestly. I do think like that's probably the worst thing that can happen, is getting to your end of your life and laying there on a sofa one day, potentially retired, thinking, I really wish I just did those things.
That's David Goggins' worst fear.
Yeah.
He says this on Joe Rogan, I think.
Yeah.
And he creates like a visual scenario.
Yeah.
And he says, look, imagine I've got to heaven and God shows me who I could have been.
Yeah.
And it gives me goosebumps speaking about it, because I think when you really think about who you could be, it's really exciting. Like there's that saying, how big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail? And for so many people, the fear of failure is what blocks it.
Yeah.
And that kind of way of framing your dreams, how big would they be if you knew you couldn't fail? Just opens up the horizon of possibilities of what you could do if you really put your mind to the things that you know you're capable of.
Yeah, and that's why I like doing the hard things, because I rarely now go through things where I'm like, I should have done that, because I just do them. You know, the way I look at it is, if you do the thing you need to do and it goes bad, well, you probably learned something from it. It's like, imagine you knew you were 30 failures away from success. How quickly would you fail?
Yeah.
You'd go crazy, right? You would just do everything that you hate, or just, but then imagine you knew it would work, and that really is life, and getting to where you want to be in life. Because every time you fail, you learn something from it. If you're not failing, you're doing something wrong, because every failure is a learning lesson. You know, rephrase the word failure. It's a learning lesson. And it's just something people need to do, but people look at it as such a negative thing, and that you're doing something completely wrong.
Stephen Bartlett says, I think it's Stephen Bartlett, or it might be Chris Williamson, failure is feedback, feedback is knowledge, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
But you're so right about the 30 failures thing. I think the unknown timescale of how long something is going to take is the bit that people don't like the most.
Yes.
Because when you phrase it like that, you're going to fail 29 times so quickly, and that last failure is going to feel so good.
Yeah, I know, because you know where you're going, and that's life.
But I suppose there is a final failure for everything. You don't keep failing. I mean, if you keep failing, you're not learning, clearly. And you kind of got to have this contentness about yourself to accept a failure for what it is and learn.
Yeah.
And people really let it bring them down.
Yeah.
But you really do have to get past that.
Yeah.
That is one big part of the process, is being able to take on board the failures and move on and learn from it and not do it again, do things differently.
Yeah, and I think it's important that the failures will still feel bad.
Yeah.
You know, like
just because
just because I've said, oh well, if there's 30 failures, you will eventually get there. Well, those failures are still going to be pretty bad. So so it's important to know that.
It's the negative feedback that inspires positive change, though.
It is.
Like, and that's quite a universal thing in every aspect of life. Like, if I were to get up and walk into that door without looking, the negative feedback, the pain of my head, I'm not going to do that again. You know. So
exactly. Yeah.
So the negative feedback, you've in some ways, I suppose you could say, negativity is positive because negativity interpreted correctly inspires a positive outcome.
Yes.
Do you think you've had that hitting roadblocks in your own life?
100%. There's been many times where things have gone wrong, whether that's relationships, family things, business. Obviously, business being probably the most prominent thing now because, I'm single. I don't have a partner or anything like that, so that's kind of my main focus is my business. But there are 100% where roadblocks come up and where you don't really know what to do. And I think it's important that although we're talking about every failure is a learning lesson, sometimes you don't actually know what to do next. And that's a very important lesson as well, right? Because as long as you keep going forward, I think you can figure it out and learn, well, that didn't work. Well, what can I do moving forward? So, like, for example, if we look at it in every aspect, we talk about a relationship, or maybe a relationship didn't work out. Well, why didn't it work out? And being accountable that maybe you did something that, you did it wrong, or you should have done certain things. So also there's an accountability aspect to it. Business side, well, maybe this didn't work out because I didn't do all of the things I should have done. Did I miss, certain parts in whatever it is? So with failure, there's a huge part of accountability. If I do something wrong, let's say with business, I will be like, I made that mistake. I should have done that. So and then from that, you can then not do that again and move forward. So with failure comes accountability.
I suppose that ties into the picture of the good man as well.
Yes.
I think a good man doesn't excuse his failures or mistakes. He accepts them and he is accountable for them. And, humility is the foundation of positive change. You have to learn to sit in the humility and take it for what it is.
Yeah, you do.
You've got to suck it up.
It's tough.
And you're not going to enjoy
It's really tough, yeah.
But the contrary, I think there's you've got to find balance in this, because when things go well for you, you need to keep yourself grounded too. Like we said earlier on in this podcast, there's a lot of this like hustle culture narcissism where people are like, look at me, I'm cool, I'm working hard, I grind hard, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And people take pride in it. And people get ahead of themselves.
They do, yeah.
And I think for those people, the pendulum swings back the other way. But you to be a good man, don't take too much pride in your virtues.
Yeah.
Be content with yourself and the things you do right.
Yeah.
Not, and this is quite stoic too, but it's a weird one because you need a positive reinforcement for the things you do right.
Yeah.
For a reason to do it. But you don't want to take pride in it. You want to be humble and content with it.
Yeah.
And find peace and solace in it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting one because, I know so many people that are doing great, but are still so focused on showing that they have this money, right? So it's a very fine line. And I think being at peace is also an interesting one because, well, what is being at peace? Is it financial stability? Well, your whole life could be a mess. Is it, having a great family? Maybe the family's falling apart. Maybe you can't, because you're working so hard, you can't be there for the children as you'd want to be there. Looking at being at peace is an interesting one because what is being at peace?
I think you could say, and you could probably find a fault with this answer too. You can find faults with every answer.
You could really find faults with
Every
everything.
answer.
So we'll be a bit careful with how.
But I think you could say it's being content with the present moment, regardless of the circumstances.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Yeah.
Because, as we said, and this has been a big theme throughout this episode, you've got to be okay with the shit times, and you've got to be the same way with the shit times that you have with the positive times.
Yeah.
And that's a really hard thing to do.
It's very tough.
You can't just cut out the shit times and just appreciate the good times. You've kind of got to appreciate them both for what they are. And one's way more enjoyable than the other.
Yeah, it is.
And that's the difficulty, is being able to enjoy the shit times.
Yeah, I think that also loops into happiness, right? Well, what makes someone happy? And I listened to this, I think it was Buddha talked about it. I can't remember exactly what he said, but one of the points was just being present, and it's not trying to be happy, but just being present. You're alive, you're here, just being at one. And I think being present, by the way, is incredibly hard because I struggle with that, big time. Especially when you're building a business and you're trying to do a million things looking forward, right? You're planning things. Well, what's next after that? What's next after that? What can we do here? Great, this is good. We need more. You're continuously in this cycle when building a business of more. And that means looking, forward, in the future. So you do sometimes struggle to think, we've done pretty good here, because you're so focused on more, and that is human nature. And I think, a big part of life is always wanting more.
I think it's a masculine nature too.
Yeah.
Thinking forward, thinking a few steps ahead.
Yeah. I've had, people ask me what will be enough? I don't know. I really don't. I've had from friends to exes that have asked what will be enough, and I don't know, because I'm ruthlessly ambitious, but I'm happy not to know. To be honest, what will be enough? I don't actually think I'll ever get there, of enough, because of just the person I am that just wants to get it, wants to do things harder, wants to, train harder. earn more, build things. So I don't think I will get to a point of enough.
I think there's a real balance to be found, though. Like if you're always thinking so much about the future, your life is going to go like.
Oh yeah, it will.
Like, I struggle with it too. Remain in the present moment, and I think practices like meditation and journaling, reading, brings your brain to the present moment. Like, you can't read if you're thinking about later.
No, you can't.
You can't read if you're thinking about yesterday.
Yeah.
You need to be in the present moment to read. Yeah. So these practices are great for bringing you in the present moment. But there is a genuine skill and art in being able to think ahead and think. Because the highest achievers are the ones who, as you say about yourself, are ruthlessly ambitious. They are the highest achievers because they just don't stop.
Yeah.
Nothing just stops them. Like all the roadblocks come up. They do not stop, and that is great, and you need that aspect about you. But then also, I think to have this is my opinion, I think to have a fulfilling life, because there's so many answers to this question too, there has to be an element of peace about it and a contentness with the present moment, no matter what the situation. And I find I work in a high stress environment in hospitality. And when things get really, really high stress and there's lots of commotion and people are having arguments and customers aren't happy and this sort of thing, if you just detach from it, the scenario, the story, the narrative that we're building up in our head, and you just detach from it and look at your hands and look at where you are and just forget everything that's going on, that's the present moment.
Yeah.
Our brains create these stories, these narratives that we tell ourselves. What's going on here? What's going on there? What's going on 10 days ahead? What happened the other day? Yeah. What's this person doing right now? Should I give them a call? Blah, 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 blah. Should I send an email?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Look around. And I think you can find a really good balance being able to think ahead and just occasionally stopping and looking around.
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of the things I try to work on because I'm like, I will do, so the way I tend to work is I'll have a meeting in the morning and then we will map out everything that needs to be done for the day. Obviously there's things that need to do in like the week or the month or like further ahead, but that's kind of the typical way we work. I'm the person that when we've done the things, feels like we should be doing more, like continuously. Every single time we accomplish the things we need to do for today, I do think, well, what else can we do to get ahead? What more can we do? Should we be doing this? Should we be doing that? So, but there are times where you kind of need to go, right, I'm going to do these tasks and then it's it. But it's incredibly hard. I really struggle with that, like really bad.
If you were to get rid of that, I think you've got to keep that part about you that's looking for more to do.
Yeah.
You just can't get so trapped in it.
Yeah. It's incredibly tough. It is. Yeah.
And it brings you so far and it's so addictive as well.
Yeah.
And that's the hustle is so addictive.
It is.
Especially when you start seeing results, you just never want to stop.
Ever.
I'm sure you're experiencing this right now. Social media is growing at an incredible rate. And Nouva's growing quite big too. I want to talk a bit more about Nouva. You're spreading internationally. You're going to be introducing an app this coming year, 2026. Looks like a big year for your business. You're doing retreats.
Yeah. Do a lot.
You're doing a lot.
Yeah, I know.
It's looking good for Nouva.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it right now?
Good. We're going through a very exciting period. So the app is live, but it's just for members, and we will do like a digital only membership and that's main goal to kind of get more of an international crowd. And there's so many different avenues you can go down with, like networking. The way I like to talk about it is looking at networking as like the main hub, right, of professionals, entrepreneurs, and then you've kind of got these different things around it, right? So you've got the events we do, we've got also private dinners that we've introduced, you've got the retreats, you've got the app. Like, these are all ways you can connect people and you can create experiences. And I really do like to think of what we do, whether it's a dinner, whether it's a retreat, whether it's an in-person event, as an experience in itself. And we've just realized over time that there's so much opportunity to connect people in different ways. It doesn't always have to be like networking. Like with the retreat, we kind of phrased that to make it more of like a fun time away to some degree, right? At a great location, There's no agenda that they have to organise. Like like they literally just have to arrive, and then from that it's taken care of, and it's like allowing people to step back. So there are different ways you can look at it. And again, like going with the app, we realised we've got so much like international interest that if we launched an app and did a digital only membership, well, that's going to start getting more, people from different countries involved in Nouva and knowing about Nouva. And, that can then lead to potential of like, right, we're doing really well in New York or Dubai or Singapore, and they're all markets I do want to kind of cover. Well, one of us will move out there and then start kind of working on that market. And then, so we're trying to build ourselves to a position where the UK or London can kind of grow at a good rate of where it's at. And then we can start looking at different markets and start kind of have a bit more of like actual physical international presence. So there's just there's a lot going on. And it's very exciting because we have really realized the opportunity we have here, and it's working. And we put in so many hours to get to where we are here. And for a very long time, we invested in the business and didn't even have a membership or anything like that, and didn't have any income for a very long time. I think the company's been around for like 2 years, and only up until March did we start having income into the business. Yeah, that's when we launched the membership. So we just had this idea and acted on it. And even when we did our first event, and I don't know if I spoke about this before, but we had no clue what we were doing. Not a single clue. And for me, that's exciting because it's like, well, look how far we've come with not really knowing. We just had this idea of like, this would be great. And we really knew that it would work, but we just didn't know how to start. And I think to get from there to here is, it personally inspires me quite a lot, because it's like, well, imagine what else we could do here, with the brand we've built, and what, avenue with the app, with the retreats, like, so it's just about trying different things thoroughly that align with the brand. And I think, next year will be huge for us.
For someone starting up their business, whatever they want to do, I think there's a moment where people really contemplate if their idea is worth sticking with, or they should just give up and find a new idea. Do you think there's a moment where people should give up and find a new idea?
Yeah.
How do you know when to do that?
So I think you need to try, and it's a very good question. And I listened to something about this, and I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was like, move as fast as you possibly can, try as many things as you possibly can with like that thing you're trying to build, and try and create revenue, like some sort of revenue from it. Like if you're looking, and again, this could be like a year, it could be 2 years. So obviously take that with a bit of with a pinch of salt, but you want to get to a point where you can understand the scalability with everything. If you can earn a little bit of revenue from something, it could be like a pound, honestly, because if you can make £1, you can make £1 million. You just got to do it a bit harder and a bit more. You just need a bit. You need to get a bite of something, and that's the way I looked at. I didn't even think of it this way with Nouva Group, but I listened to something that kind of said this, and it was like, well, that's kind of true. But again, it's tough because you could work for 5 years, and that 5th year, you're like, it just blows up. It could be 10 years, it could be 15. So I think you've just got to move really quick. And again, it depends what you're in, right? Like, for example, with yourself, with building, podcast business and whatever else you kind of do, that will naturally take time, because you've got to build a brand, you've got to build, the momentum, you've got to keep doing it over and over. And again, that's kind of with everything else, but yeah, not to give you a very long answer.
Yeah, no, it's true. A lifetime of work feels like overnight success.
Yeah, it does.
Heard that said before.
Yeah.
I think any sort of work feels like it could take a lifetime, and then just overnight, it just something happens.
Yeah.
And it's almost this like funny way of the universe saying, well done for persisting when things were the toughest for you and you were most tempted to give up, and well done for just keep going and doing the hardest thing possible, which is keeping going with no results, no physical reward.
Yeah. And I think, because it's like, well, how long do you wait, right? How long do you wait for it to work?
Back on that 30 failure thing.
Yeah, but also I think as well, if you put absolutely everything you could have done into a business, and you generally know that, you don't have to tell anyone, but you know that deep down, and it didn't work, okay, maybe it didn't, but a lot of people just don't put absolutely, every kind of how do I phrase this? They don't put all the work they should have done. A lot of people miss things, or mainly miss things and expect to kind of get there. But you do have to generally put everything in. And like every time you say to yourself, you're going to do it, you need to do it. And as long as you've done all of the things you could have done, and it still didn't work out after a certain period of time, and again, that's very fluid answer. It could be a long time, but people know when it's like, okay, maybe it's time to try something else.
I suppose if you really did try your best, you can be very content and happy with yourself over that.
Yeah.
No matter what the outcome, I think you will. If you really tried your best and you won, or you really tried your best and you failed, I think the person with the right mindset in both situations would still feel the same no matter what the outcome.
Yeah.
Because there's that part about you that knows you did what you could, and there's nothing that you could have changed about the outcome. And back to the point about like life and being the person that you could, if you genuinely tried the hardest you could in life, and cut the bad things and place that time that you would have spent on the bad things on the good things. Every scenario, there's a best possible choice to make. I genuinely believe that. Just don't pick the wrong ones.
I know. And I do think that would actually give you'd be probably quite content in the end. You tried everything you could have done, and hopefully, obviously it works out to some degree, right? But I think going through life and doing all the things you should have done, or like just not looking back and saying, I wish I did that. I think that would give you the ability to be content.
How do you know you tried your best?
How do you know you tried your best? I would say you do all of the things that deep down you keep telling yourself to do.
That voice.
It's that voice again. There are so many, like for me, right, for a long period, I didn't do content as I am doing it now. And like deep down, I had that voice saying, do it, just do it. But you just don't do it sometimes. And it's just listening to that voice and doing it, right? And I'm sure there's many people that know exactly what we're talking about, because that voice is always there.
I often wonder what would happen, where you would end up if you only ever listened to that voice.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with it.
I know.
The most perfect supposed human being to have ever walked the earth is Jesus Christ. Never sinned once. I don't hear any sin in that voice. I don't hear it calling you to do anything wrong. I wonder if you continuously followed that voice no matter what. What sort of person that would make you.
I know.
Adam, absolute pleasure, sir.
Thank you, mate.
Wonderful.